This here is the Canon R7 with the RF 100 to 400, and I'm going to show you with this footage right now why this is the best budget and beginner camera setup for wildlife photography in 2024. So this R7 is about $1,100 used, so it's a little expensive for a budget camera body, but I promise you this thing is going to be one of the last cameras you need if you're a beginner for a long time, and you're not going to need to upgrade for a while. And this lens is the RF 100 to 400. It's about $500 used, and this thing is so light. Like, I can't get over how light it is. It's just really comfortable to use and shoot all day. If you're a beginner, make sure you stick to the end of this video, and I'll show you one bonus tip to ensure sharper photos, whether you're shooting mammals or birds in flight. The lens has really fast autofocus, and it's really sharp for the price. Sure, it's not f2.8, but let's be realistic. For the price, it is just an incredible piece of equipment here. So if we're being real here, I've shot a lot more expensive and heavier setups, and whether you're a beginner or a professional, this is still just a great setup to run. I've been shooting it all day, and it's just been a really seamless and quick and easy setup. You don't need to have much camera experience to use it. The animal eye detection works great, and you can rely that the autofocus is gonna nail the shot about 90% of the time. Sure, it's got some issues, but it isn't perfect. I still think you are gonna have a great experience, especially if you're new or you're coming from a DSLR. This is kind of like cheating in a way. I'm currently in Katmai National Park, and we've been walking about 8 miles a day, give or take. You know, when you're lugging around heavier cameras, this was really a treat to use. I've been shooting this all day, enjoying it. My shoulders and arms have been really sore from just having so much in my backpack and whatnot. If you guys check the description box, I'm gonna have a link to some raw photos that you can look and see the quality straight out of the camera. You can edit them yourself if you want to practice with some wildlife photography editing. This setup is $1,600 if you buy everything used. Just the main lens that I shoot with is the Canon RF 100 to 500, and that lens is $2,800 brand new. So just keep that in the back of your mind and realize that it's not going to be the greatest thing that's ever touched this earth, but I promise you it's just good. The Canon R7 itself has been great to use. If this $1,100 used camera is a little bit out of your budget, consider the Canon R10. It's got the same exact autofocus system, but it has a smaller battery, and I believe that the buffer size is a little bit slower than this R7. That's one of the issues I have with the R7 is the buffer size. You can see you get 2 SD card slots in here. They're just standard SD card slots, and that's gonna hold you back from getting like a 3 or 4 second buffer. I can only shoot about 1.5 seconds before the card fills up, and it needs a few seconds to get everything straight again so you can shoot. That's basically what a buffer speed is, if you guys aren't sure what that means. But it's definitely got me caught up a few times shooting, especially when I'm trying to switch to video, but it's still not terrible. One of the things that I've learned to do is just shoot like half-second bursts of photos at a time, because it's got a pretty good shoot FPS rate. I'm shooting mechanical because it's a little bit slower. You can shoot electronic, which goes up to 40 frames per second, but it might be a little excessive for 1, mammals, and 2, for this camera. That's literally like a half a second of shooting before the buffer fills up. Other than that, one thing that you need to think about is, just because the Canon RF 100-400 says it's 100-400, when you get a crop sensor camera body like the R7 or the R10, you're getting a 1.6 times crop, which means this 100-400, if you times it by 1.6, becomes a 160 to 640 millimeter lens. If you want to get a budget wildlife lens, a lot of people go with the Sigma 150 to 600, and I used it and it did me great for a long time, but that's also at least $900, and this lens is $500. So just think about that if you're trying to save some money. Don't discount this $500 lens, because it's definitely the best you can get under $600 in my opinion. If you look on Amazon, you always see all these camera bundles and it says, oh, we give you a wide angle lens and a telephoto lens for wildlife, and it's like a 70 to 300. And guys, I'm gonna tell you right now, that is a terrible, terrible option. Don't get them. You're gonna be so disappointed in the quality of the sharpness of those lenses, and then you're gonna be disappointed in the camera body because it's not gonna have good autofocus, and you're just gonna end up switching to your phone, and you're gonna think photography is not for you. This is gonna be the best you can get, and I wouldn't even get anything less than this setup here. Just save your money until you can afford it, because the iPhone today, 2015, the iPhone 15 or the iPhone 14 is just magical. If you have the Pro Max, it has like a 5x zoom lens, and I've shot some whales with them before, and it came out really good. I was surprised, and I definitely think it's better than those Amazon bundles you'd see, or maybe in like Target or Walmart or something like that. Okay, so if you're a beginner, I promised a bonus tip at the beginning of this video. What that is to put your camera in manual mode when you're shooting photos. Switch the auto ISO on. So enable auto ISO. So basically all you really have to worry about is your aperture and your shutter speed. Well, you're gonna get f8 aperture at 400 millimeters. So don't change that, just leave that at f8. So now all you really have to worry about is your shutter speed. And if you're shooting mammals like bears, where I'm shooting here, I just stick to 1/1000th. That way if they run or if they fight or if they move quickly, you're not gonna have some motion blur in your photos. And if you're shooting birds, just do 1/2500th of a second. I know it seems pretty fast, and I could promise you that sometimes you'll notice, especially on smaller birds, the wings are gonna be blurred if you shoot even like 1/1600th. And I know like things like puffins, I always shoot 1/3200th minimum, just because there will be a little bit of motion blur in the wings or in something that you just didn't expect to happen. So minimum 1/2500th for birds, and then do 1/1000th for animals that are fighting. If the animals are just sitting there, you can get away with 1/500th, 1/250th. Go faster. The ISO is going to be a little bit higher, but you can deal with that in Adobe Lightroom. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see a future video on how I edit wildlife photos, whether I'm shooting at 100 ISO or 12,800 ISO. If you want to learn more about this Canon R7, click this video right up here. I just filmed a full video on the Canon R7 where I go a little bit more in depth. Leave a like on the video if you like the video. It definitely helps me out the most out of anything. And that's all I have. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.